So there's this new golden peasant in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and it has this really unique look to it because its body is made of glittering, shining gold. And looking at it, I'm left with many questions. Who made it? How is it made? And most importantly, what does this thing do? So I decided to take it for a little spin against an opponent that we all know and love, an army of small children. The battle started, and it seemed to just kind of hover there, nondescriptly, until a shadow was shown on the ground. And that shadow were the giant swords launched by the seraphim. Somehow, a lowly peasant had harnessed the power of the gods. And not only was it summoning seraphim blades, it was also teleporting around the map, decimating hobbit after hobbit. Yeah, this thing was definitely very strong, but I really wanted to test its abilities, so I placed a bunch of archers at its back. The battle commenced, the swords began to fly into the sky, and the archers all tried to shoot the golden peasant, but the arrows bounced off of him. He is a machine of holy devastation and retribution. But I wasn't done yet. I wanted to push this thing to the limit to see if we could take it down. But the flurry of arrows went in every single direction, and quickly the entire army was wiped out. Perhaps, if we could not shoot him, we could contain him. But it was soon quite evident that the harpooners were no better than the archers. These battles did not last at all. So we had to escalate things. Perhaps an army of ice giants could freeze him even if he had a little tiny baby head. But in the end, those targets, those big fat ice giant bodies, were just big fat targets for giant big fat swords. And sometimes, the golden peasant didn't even need the swords. He could teleport around and defeat every ice giant. So we removed the ice giants, and instead we grabbed gods, Thors, tons of Thors. Perhaps this much man muscle with lightning hammers could deal the damage necessary to this golden peasant, but the seraphim swords were there instead. And no matter how strong, the golden peasant was there to repel every single attack. Even yeeted into the sky, the attacks continued to rain. So we removed the Thors. And now the true tests began, starting with Billy, the hero of all times. This was a worthy opponent and a worthy fight. Could Billy do more than simply die to the seraphim sword? So I took Billy and I pushed him further back. Maybe a little bit of range could assist that hand beam to... No, Billy was thoroughly disappointing. So we removed Billy and we went to find some peasants. We started with the super peasant, who immediately leapt into battle, yeeting the golden peasant halfway around the map. But that teleporting damage did tons and tons of work. The attempted sword strikes littered the battlefield as the battle went all over the place. They are really far in the distance. This is not a joke. And this fight is lasting forever. We have a red victory, which means the super peasant drowned. I was surprised, but not too surprised. Now it was time for the dark peasant, whose hands of God were capable of slamming the golden peasant, but the dark peasant's hands couldn't protect it from a sword the size of a small building. So we removed him and opted for a different peasant. In fact, I am almost certain this peasant was going to do the job. The unnamed peasant pulled the golden peasant in close. And we know what happens when they get in close. The peasant turned into spaghetti. I was also quite certain that the golden peasant would lose to the chaos peasant, being absolutely spaghettified. But with the red victory, it seems the golden peasant had the last laugh. There were only two tests that I had left: Saitama and the seraphim. The Saitama fight started as much as I kind of expected, until quickly Blue one-punched the gold peasant. And then finally, the seraphim practically fighting itself, whose golden swords would do the job. But luckily, the golden peasant was able to duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge, and weave its way through the fights. Here, we have a true stalemate. But if you think this peasant was powerful. If you think this peasant was strong, you ain't seen nothing yet. And if I'm being honest, he kind of reminds me of the unnamed peasant. Also, did you notice that they added the sound to the unnamed peasant? Just listen to this. That is horrifying. But the Chaos Peasant is brand new, and he has his red miasma all around him, as well as these weird black spikes whenever he moves. And when I would summon units to fight him with, the Chaos Peasant would do this. As you can see, this is not your normal peasant. This is a brand new creation of devastation. We may have found a brand new, most powerful unit in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. So I thought to myself, we'll do something bigger, something more powerful. But the Chaos Peasant doesn't care. His black balls do this. If it's not contorting their limbs, it's summoning orbs from the sky. Though I am shocked to see that he can't contort these guys. However, where did Mr. Death come from? Can the Chaos Peasant summon additional units? This needs some investigation. Let's take the Chaos Peasant to a fantastic Halloween map. And I'm gonna summon a pile of different types of units. We're gonna try some shield bearers, try some hoplites, try something bigger like Minotaurs. How about a god like Zeus? But what about like a Da Vinci tank? What about a horse unit? What about Mr. Death himself? What happens when the contorting ability hits all of these different units? It's actually kind of cool following these balls in as they go. All of the different armor pieces have been increased and the body parts have been shrunk. But what will these balls do? I wanted to see the Minotaurs get contorted, but maybe now, Mr. Death! As you can see, this is Mr. Death's femur, now larger than his torso. His rib cage has swallowed his mind, and his forearm has been shoved through his skull. That's terrifying to look at. Oh, it might be time for a Minotaur. Let's see what happens. Oh, Minotaur, not meant to look like that. Minnie, what happened to you? Zeus, it's your turn. Yep, Zeus got contorted. But what about the tank? It seems like the physical properties of these barriers are completely immune. But we're not here just to test his contorting ability. We're here to test his power level. I want to continue to push the Chaos Peasant and see just how strong it is. So we're going to go with some Super Boxers. And the Super Boxers try to die. Is this even fair? This is beyond disgusting. Now I want to see if he can contort a Super Peasant to death. I don't think the Chaos Peasant has infinite life. If it gets hit, it might be destroyed. Now we get to follow the Super Peasant on the way towards the Chaos Peasant. Surviving so far. No, blue did manage to win. If you get close enough to the Chaos Peasant, you can beat it. It's basically a glass cannon. But with enough Chaos Peasants, could one of them contort the Super Peasant to death? As you can see, the Chaos Peasants are summoning units, and now the heat-seeking orbs are coming out for the Super Peasant. However, the Super Peasant, oh, it happened! I was about to say the Super Peasant was too fast, but then his shins went through his spleen. I like how the leg is like almost paper thin. The Chaos Peasant can be destroyed, but his contortion can destroy seemingly anything. But will it work on something as large as an ice giant? As you can see, the ice giant's face is now in its butt. Is this what it's like to look out the eyes of an ice giant? This ice giant nose is now a pancake, and this ice giant's eyes are inside of its torso. We have to go bigger. I'm honestly a little bit scared to see what's going to happen here to these dragons who breathe fire on the chaos. Hey there, little dragon, how you doing? There's its bottom mouth. Where's its top mouth? And this dragon is blown up like a hot air balloon. Okay. The Chaos Peasant is powerful. It's weak, it can be killed, but its ability is super strong, even when it has one leg shorter than the other. But what if we make it fight the unnamed peasant? Honestly, I can barely remember what the unnamed peasant does. Doesn't it like spaghettify things? Who's gonna win, the black miasma versus the red mist? Let's see what happens. The black miasma approaches. Here come the orbs of the Chaos Peasants. But the black unnamed peasant seemed to have won. I'm gonna back the unnamed peasant up a little bit further. I want to see if something can happen. Can we contort the unnamed peasant out of existence. Here come the balls circling. Nope, we have another blue victory. Whatever the unnamed peasant is doing to the chaos peasant, it's killing him before the attacks can land. So we're gonna go to 3 chaos peasants. I want to see this ghost become contorted. Activating abilities. All of these chaos peasants now have these black streamers on them. That seems to be the attack. The balls go forward, circling around the unnamed peasant, and the unnamed peasant seems to be completely ignoring the attacks. The chaos peasants to this point have been successful, so I've summoned a bunch of them. Eventually, enough of this will occur and surround the unnamed peasant just like this. Balls going everywhere, but the unnamed peasant is shaking off the chaos peasant's abilities. It doesn't matter. Look, the unnamed peasant wins again. Here's an important question. The new chaos peasant who can die versus Saitama. Can we contort the One Punch Man out of existence? We're in the sweet spot where One Punch Man has to walk and approach the chaos peasant. The orbs are moving forward. Saitama dodged them. And now he's As you can see, the Saitama has been defeated because his spleen is out his anus, his brain is through his kidneys, and his shins have come out his toes. And yet the unnamed peasant seems to reign supreme. Now, there is one final test. A test that the chaos peasant is most certainly going to fail. There is no way that this peasant can take on the angel. As you can see, the angel begins to launch its attacks and the chaos peasant ignores them, but it needs to get close enough to use its abilities. But the problem is, here come the banishing swords, and the orbs never had the chance to work. But if the orbs could land, is it possible? If we summon a lot of distraction units, for example, a row of halflings, and then I turn on god powers, and using the god power, I lift the chaos peasant. Come with me, chaos peasant. This is for science. And when we start the battle, I bring the chaos peasant up here to this monster. As you can see, he is launching his orbs at it's not happening. The seraphim is not happening to the seraphim. I keep moving the chaos peasant who's still alive, and we continue to launch orb after orb after orb at the seraphim. But no matter what we do, we cannot contort this angel out of existence. There's one thing you may not know about the ghost peasant. He has really big hands. I mean, really big hands. And the ghost peasant, using these big hands, likes to decimate entire armies. But this is just scratching the surface. The ghost peasant has a secret ability. You're gonna watch these berserkers leap in and the ghost peasant explode with dark evil power. And now, the ghost peasant uses ghostly abilities, has summoned dark, evil, ghostly figures of other units in the game. So just how strong is the ghost peasant? And can he defeat the other peasants? That's what we're gonna find out today. For our first task, freeze! Don't move! Wow. You're under arrest because you have not hit the subscribe button yet. Do so! Join us! Subscribe right now! Join the murder of crows. We're gonna come here to the legacy world with tons of room to play. And now, we're gonna surround the peasant with all sorts of units. Just gonna go bigger circles just like this. Though when they design these peasants, I'd like for them to give them a little more Hulk bulk, if you know what I mean. He's so scrawny. And how do they give him this really weird ghostly appearance? Like you can see the units behind him when you're looking through them. Oh, we're about to see that giant explosion in 3, 2, 1, go! Where is it? Where is it? It's coming. It's right there. He's being stabbed 37 times in the chest, but instead of the explosion, he just throws his ghost flames straight to the ground. I thought he was going to do the big explodey. I was very wrong. Well, in that case, we need to escalate this even further. Come on, what's the worst that could happen? Short of my computer melting and breaking and turning into a pile of flaming hot mush. This is nearly 250 hoplites. Let's see what they can do. We'll do a little slow-mo. He goes up, shoots the flames straight down, and as you can see, massive armies. No concern. The ghost peasant shakes him off like a bad cold, tosses him into the air like a paper bag or a plastic bag, whatever the song. goes. And I'm surprised he hasn't done the massive explosion yet. I wonder what it feels like to be corrupted by the ghost flames. There's the explosion and everything just died. Oh, that ability is so powerful. But, just how powerful? This is the Ignis Slasher. Maybe he's a worthy opponent of the Ghost Peasant. Oh, look at those abilities skewering through the Ghost Peasant. Who died? Oh, the Ghost Peasant is stronger than I expected. I really need to ramp this up. What about the Ghost Peasant versus the Dark Peasant? I think this is a very important question. Oh, I think the Dark Hands of God are gonna stop the projectiles. Blue victory. Oh, okay. I'm surprised. The Dark Hand of God was about to slam the Ghost Peasant into the ground, but the Ghost Peasant actually managed to get around the Dark Hands of God and damage the Dark Peasant. But what about the Super Peasant? Is the Ghost Peasant stronger? This is a massively important question. Okay, hold on. What is happening? Oh, we have another blue victory. Super Peasant got destroyed, and I can't even tell what's going on in here. Wait, what is that? Super Peasant. The Super Peasant's got a dark face. Was the Super Peasant converted into evil by the Ghost Peasant's ability? Well, that's insane. So this is probably a massive mistake. On the one hand, you have the Chaos Peasant, who we know is very powerful. And then on the other hand, you have the Ghost Peasant, who we know is pretty strong. And then we put them in a lava pit. A massive lava pit. Well, vote down below. Let's see who you think is the strongest of them all. My money's on the Chaos Peasant. In 3, 2, 1, go. Slow-mo. Activate. The Chaos Peasant wants to fire off its orbs. Chaos Peasant. Oh, no way. The Chaos Peasant actually died before the orbs could disfigure the Ghost Peasant. I did not expect that. Well, in that case, we're gonna go with 2 Chaos Peasants. Hopefully something can land a blow here. Oh, there we go. Dodging, deflecting, red victory. Oh, okay. So it takes 2 Chaos Peasants to defeat 1 completely warped out Ghost Peasant. So 1-on-1, Ghost wins. 2-on-1, well, Chaos wins. Now, this is a fitting location for a fitting fight. This horror map is perfect when we're talking about the unnamed peasant here in the darkness versus the Ghost Peasant hiding here amongst the trees. Who do you think is gonna win? My money is on the unnamed peasant, though I was wrong last time with the Chaos Peasant. Let's find out in 3, 2, 1, go. The fight begins. Unnamed Peasant does something. Red victory. The unnamed peasant spaghettified the Ghost Peasant? No, I'm just trying to find him. Oh, there he is. There's a Ghost Peasant turned into spaghetti. Well, in that case, what about 2 Ghost Peasants? I need to see. I need to know. Maybe it takes 2 of them to Nope. I mean, I know you can't tell because of the massive ball of darkness, but there is. Oh, wait, what? There's the Ghost. There's the unnamed peasant. Apparently the tree reveals him. Okay, 3 Ghost Peasants versus 1. Okay, 3 Ghost Peasants versus 1 unnamed peasant. Oh, there's a Ghost Peasant right there. I want to see him turn into spaghetti. There he is. Okay, he's right there. Whoa. Oh, so many things. There's a tank. There's a ballista bolt. So many things have been spaghettified by the unnamed peasant who still wins. An unnamed peasant versus a Chaos Peasant and a Ghost Peasant. Maybe the 2 together can take on the unnamed creature. No, we need more power. 3 Ghost Peasants, 3 Chaos Peasants versus a single unnamed peasant. Let's see what happens. Huge explosions of power in every direction. There are plenty of units still on the field, and we still have a red victory. This is a mistake. As you can clearly see, this is gonna be a bad idea. I tried to pause the fight. There's an unnamed peasant in the middle. Okay, the fight paused. I'm now in the center of the darkness. Let me out. Okay, what I did was I surrounded a single unnamed peasant with a circle of Ghost Peasants, followed by a circle of Chaos Peasants. As you can see, they're on the outside. Actually, you can kind of see the feet of everybody. We have Chaos Peasants here on the outside. I'm going to slowly creep in. Then you've got the Ghost Peasants here. And in the middle, who I cannot even see, is an unnamed peasant. And right now, let's just back out of this massive explosion of darkness and power and hold the slow-mo button and see what happens. Explosion of darkness from all of the Ghost Peasants spreads out in every direction. There's like 60 units on the field. I'm going to pause. I'm going to go in. Let's see what happens. Working my way through the waves of darkness to the center of the battlefield, and there's spaghettified on the... Okay, so Ghost Peasants here. There's Ghost Peasant hands blocking me from getting in. I think I caught a glimpse of the unnamed peasant in the middle here. It's just chaos. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna continue the fight here in the middle. Look at the spaghettified remains of everything on the inside of this fight. And they did it! So I was trying to kill the new unnamed peasant for a while now. And it honestly looked like something out of the back rooms. When you looked at it in just the right way, you could see him. But at other times, he was completely invisible. And when I fought him, this is what happened. I would take some units, such as some halflings, and then I would put a bard over here. And when the unnamed peasant would go to attack, he would completely spaghettify the halflings. I was shocked. How could he do this totally accurate battle simulator units? And no matter how many halflings I put on the battlefield, the unnamed peasant would suck them in like a black hole and spaghettify them like a backrooms monster. It was disgusting to see. Not to mention this trap ability not letting anything escape. He was an immortal monster, and I needed to find a way to defeat him. I tried sending a normal army of knights and squires at it, but it just spaghettifies everything. I mean, it's hard to see on a good day, and as soon as it starts to attack, it just becomes invisible. And it turns even catapults into little Lego machines. So I tried adding even more units. We're talking about a massive amount of units. Even woolly mammoths, lots of them. Even when I did this, the armies were wiped out so quickly. I don't know what happens to a creature when it's turned into black goo, but I'd rather not know. Not gonna lie. No matter how hard I tried, no matter the size of the army, they all continued to be destroyed. Even a pile of Manny the Mammoths became black spaghetti. So I tried to get a little creative. I thought to myself that maybe some ballistas combined together could knock it off the map. So I filled an entire side of the battlefield in ballistas. No, seriously, I even put them on top of the buildings. I was hopeful that this was going to work, but it was quickly evident that this was a waste of time. The unnamed peasant completely ignored everything, though it was cool to watch it walk around and decimate this entire army. And when the ballista bolts all fired, my god, all hell broke loose. But the unnamed peasant didn't even care. But don't worry, I wasn't out of ideas yet. I had more than a few new things that could be thrown at the unnamed peasant. He was strong, but he wasn't immortal. Or so I thought. I tried throwing some modern technology at it, but that proved to be pointless. I mean, it was a gorgeous sight, but it was completely a waste of time. The unnamed peasant was in there, amongst the tanks, and it did not care. Though for some reason, the tanks didn't turn into spaghetti that quickly, but it did leave their drivers kind of floating in the sky. Yeah, the tanks proved to be no match for the unnamed peasant. But we were here in the legacy world, and I wasn't ready to give up. Perhaps an army of wizards could crowd control the dark peasant into immobility. I tried, and we did manage to send the dark peasant flying, the new unnamed peasant flying high into the sky. But he quickly fell back down and slowly, one by one, killed the wizards. Though it was funny to see the unnamed peasant be launched into the sky over and over and over. But the wizards, even with their crowd control, were going to stop the unnamed peasant from eventually falling and one by one killing all the wizards. Though I honestly did get a kick out of watching it bounce up and down, back and forth. Yep, that is a lot of spaghettified wizards, and up there is a living unnamed peasant. If the wizards weren't going to do it, I thought that maybe the super peasant could pull it off. I watched as the super peasant swam into battle, and by swam I meant fly into battle, but no, even the super peasant was turned into black spaghetti. Well, fine, I thought. What about multiple super peasants? They all lunged into battle, swarming, and were all swiftly dispatched. So I thought, how about some more super peasants? More than 50 super peasants swam at the unnamed peasant, flaunching off in every single direction. But the unnamed peasant did not care. So I went all the way. I summoned the Dark Peasant to fight the unnamed peasant. Pretty much evil versus evil. And using the Dark Hands of God, the unnamed peasant was lifted into the sky, but it did not matter. The Dark Peasant was spaghettified. So I was starting to run out of ideas. So I grabbed some gods. Not just any gods. We were talking Hades, Artemis, Apollo, Ares, Thor, Odin. Maybe these gods in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator could have pulled it off. It was an intense fight with new effects going in every single direction, but the unnamed peasant was completely unfazed. I did not know that a god of tabs could look like something out of the back rooms, but I learned something that day. Then I had a crazy idea. I grabbed a small army of chronomancers and a small army of void monarchs. Maybe this was enough to defeat the unnamed peasant. I was hopeful, but watching all the units get sucked in was not good. The unnamed peasant made short work of the gods of the good and evil realm. I thought they stood a chance, and clearly I was wrong. Then I thought to myself, what about Miraculous? Take this good god with all of its good energy, and I hoped it could defeat this evil god with all of its evil energy. I knew Miraculous was strong, but I didn't know how strong in comparison to the unnamed peasant. And clearly with the red victory, the unnamed peasant was too powerful. So instead, I tried the God Slayer. I was hopeful, I was praying, but I was quickly disappointed. A red victory declared the unnamed peasant as the victor. So I grabbed the big guns. I grabbed Billy, hero of tabs, with his powerful gauntlet that can destroy all space and time. But even Billy was no match for the spaghettification of the unnamed peasant. All that was left was his magical sword. So I escalated. I escalated more than you could possibly imagine. I went all the way up to One Punch Man, Saitama himself. Could Saitama defeat the unnamed peasant? Could anything stop this creature? But apparently, it wasn't possible. Saitama was trapped. Saitama was locked in an epic battle of death, but he could not defeat the unnamed peasant. One Punch Man couldn't die, but he couldn't win. And that didn't answer my question. And believe me, I let this go on for 10 minutes. Nothing won, nothing lost. It was just an endless battle of nothing. And I figured that the same thing would happen with the Seraphim, the voice of God himself. And they were locked in an epic battle for minutes after minutes. The Seraphim trying to banish the unnamed peasant, the unnamed peasant trying to spaghettify the Seraphim. My answer still had not come. Nothing can seem to defeat the unnamed peasant. I was getting desperate, so I went to the workshop and I typed in the word God, and I went and downloaded a bunch of your God units. Perhaps one of these could defeat the unnamed peasant. I know I was getting desperate, but I was getting desperate. Maybe one could win, but I was probably wasting my time. I placed the unnamed peasants on the battlefield and then proceeded to put the gods down as well. I didn't have much hope in this idea, but I thought you'd never know. The battle commenced and I was completely shocked. Something in there had defeated the unnamed peasant. The only problem is I didn't know which god did it. So I deleted all the gods and went one by one. The god of darkness fought the unnamed peasant and was swiftly destroyed. The god of everything was next. He fought the unnamed peasant and was also swiftly destroyed. The unit simply called God Fought the Unnamed Peasant once again spaghettified. Then the rival to power leapt into battle to join his brethren in being destroyed. The god of halflings that I was definitely rooting for was not capable of defeating the unnamed peasant. That left only one god. The god of death, this creation of red and gold. Was he the one to defeat my unnamed peasant? The battle started and I was very nervous. Had we finally found something to defeat this new insane thing? And we had.